Hello, this is Positive Vibes Enterprise. I'm Tom Goodwin. This is Michelle Ronquillo.
Hi, everybody.
And the subject today has to do with truth versus loyalty. And why would a lot of the times, like in some of these tyrannical countries, you have to be careful what you say and you can't represent the truth that readily because they just don't allow it. They demand a certain loyalty to the party line, and that's where you run into trouble when people expect you to parrot the mindset that they accept rather than allow you to freely develop further in your understanding of the truth. And
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to truths, everybody has their own truths and everybody has their own ways of thinking. And in a culture or in a family, they tend to uh, stay with the truths that are taught throughout their childhood. However, what about the unhealthy truths with the unhealthy roots that are taught out there in society? Do we have to accept them as working ways in the spiritual sense? Or can we let go of those and make truths that will work well and better for society and where today we're trying to go in the spiritual sense?
that's a really complicated issue
Yeah, it
because
is.
when you talk to certain people in these spiritual groups or that you might find on the internet or whatever, a lot of them say, "This is my truth. You have your truth," and we just will accept the fact that we have different truths, and it gets kind of idyllic and all. But
We're looking for group like minded, independent truths that work like a puzzle that's going to plug in like those puzzle pieces that will help independently and spiritually, collectively, as a group that is like minded. That yes, we all have our own truths, but they all should click in together like those puzzle pieces.
well, you sort of like have a worldview, which is sort of like an over truth having to do with the common ground that we all have as human beings. In other words, if everybody sees the world differently, and then they start talking to each other, they won't make sense to each other because they're going to be have a different picture when they're explaining things than we have.
Exactly.
When they're talking about an apple, one will think about a green apple, another one will think of one that's bright red, and one will think about an apple that's really tiny and another one a humongous apple, and they won't explain it to you, so they'll be explaining how hard it is to eat the apple. They have no idea what they're talking about. What I mean is,
Yeah.
and that's how ridiculous it can get, because a lot of people don't think about the practicality of the ideology they express. So they'll say, your truth is as good as any other truth, and we don't have to have we all have different truths. You don't have to, there's no real common truth. Well, there is a common truth. That's why we're able to relate to each other.
Exactly.
So you have to be careful. And as I was saying about these people, how idyllic they get, we can all get along and we can all have different truths. Well, it doesn't work that well that way in reality. But it is true that people have the choice to have their truths, and that they're gonna, what it's gonna affect how their quality of life and what kind of life they're gonna have, and if they're satisfied with the messed up, what somebody might consider a messed up life, but they're satisfied with it, then what can you do? But to me, I'm a virtual pioneer. I'm a feisty type.
Yeah, very feisty.
So when I run into them, you can do better. You can do better. You can always get better. And of course, that's the way I approach it all the time. I'm always trying to improve. And that's sort of like saying, no, your truths are never good enough. And that's sort of like going counter to everybody's truth is okay. And when it's saying nobody's truth is okay, everybody's truth can get better.
Yeah.
In other words, you don't just accept the status quo as being good enough. And it's all right to say it's okay if you're living in a comfortable home and you got enough to eat and you got mostly, your basic needs well taken care of. But if you're really struggling and you're living on the edge and you're not getting the best nutrition and you know what I mean? It's some people live very abusive lifestyles,
Yeah.
and they can't be saying everything's so wonderful and all truths are okay because they're paying the price for things.
Yeah.
And when people have certain beliefs and they're messed up, they're gonna have a tendency to not know boundaries. And they're gonna have a tendency to think they know better than other people when they don't, and then they'll feel like they can use violence or
defend the toxic behavior that's happening around them.
Well, they can defend the toxic behavior, or they can think the toxic behavior is okay.
Yeah, like
because
it's normal.
because they have it justified because they think they're right to use that toxic behavior because of their view of things. That's how they view things.
Or maybe they think that they deserve the abuse because it's a family member or a loved one. So they think that that's a normal way of looking at truths in their own inner circle, and understanding that you do not have to settle for things that hurt you. You do not have to settle for things that are negative. You do not have to settle for things that drain your energies. It is the connections that you have. You might have to hold your voice. Me and Tom were talking earlier. Sometimes in the environment you have, you can't really be truthful on your opinions or your facts or your feelings because it might disrupt where you are in your environment.
Well, under those circumstances, I'm usually very straightforward, but in situations where I cannot be straightforward, all I can do that will hurt my situation. Like if there was a policeman and he was out there and he was telling me, you better do things a certain way, and he didn't understand part of the truth of the situation because he didn't see the situation properly. I can't just go out there and tell him the truth because it's likely to get me in big trouble because he may not respond in the proper way. So a lot of times people get things wrong. It could be all kinds of people in your life. They get things wrong and they're not willing to listen because they're so sure they're right. And what can you do? And in other words, you could pay consequences for trying to go up against them because some people just are not willing to listen. Of course, I see a lot of people in our society not willing to listen myself.
But a good point is you have to continue to do the footwork to get yourself in a healthy environment so you don't have those kind of issues. Because honestly, vocalization in the truths of what you feel and what's going on in your life is very important, and putting tact in how you deliver it is really important too. But in the improvement of yourself, you shouldn't have to hold back and suppress your emotions and feelings and your truths and you're fighting the inner parts of you that want to be healthy versus the toxic negative things that are in your body trying to bring you down. So you always have to improve and always have to see where you can go forward in clearing your environment so that way you can be 100% free-willed to your own lifestyle. And
when you communicate, you send energy to a person.
Yeah.
And so when you decide, if I say anything, this will get me into trouble, it's better not to say anything. What you also decide is, I'm not going to give the person any of the energy I give to communication for a while, and the person's going to learn what it's like to not have my energy for a while. And so that's sort of like a lesson for them, an objective lesson as to what how reality works. How when you treat a person a certain way and they stop speaking to you, you're gonna find the consequences is that you didn't recognize how nice it is to have somebody like them talking with you on a regular basis.
Sometimes it's just healthy to not talk to them anymore. I'm just saying, if they don't want to change and they want to be unhealthy, it's time to move on and get some healthy people in your life and not worry about, fixing bridges that should be burnt.
In some,
Maybe.
it's not always.
It's not always that easy.
Yeah, life is not always easy, and sometimes to survive, you have to put up with an awful lot. But a lot of times, a person that is working that is getting their act together spiritually and really strong spiritually can take a lot without it harming them because they're so strong spiritually. They will not be easily abused emotionally. In other words, they develop the strength that they can handle a lot and can be and not be harmed by it. So that's one of the reasons why it's so important to strengthen yourself spiritually, so that these people that use toxicity or try to manipulate you emotionally, they can't get to you.
That's the main objective. If you can live in an environment that is toxic and you are so strong and firm within yourself that like a water off a duck's back is just rolling off, that you can handle it for the time being, go for it, do it. But always be mindful of your inside. Always be mindful of those emotions that are going, needing to evolve forward through the toxic environment that you're in.
And a lot of times people will, out of loyalty,
there we go,
tend to will stand up for people who are not representing themselves very properly in this world. In other words, they will make excuses and they'll enable the people around them. Oh my goodness!
And codependency runs rampant. If anybody doesn't know what codependency is, please go look it up. That's the research word of the day. And please comment on what you think, because this word, codependency, is so toxic when it's coming to people making excuses of why they need to change. They're so loyal to them that they're going to make excuses and then they're going to defend those excuses. It's very toxic.
And you can't, it's kind of hard to grow when you have these, it's loyalties that make you have to follow the party line of a family or a tribe or a gang or even bigger organizations like a political party or whatever.
True.
All these people tend to get caught up in mindsets, and even the media tends to have its own mindsets, and they don't even know it. And they get caught up in it, because what happens is a country will develop a mindset. And another country in another part of the world will have a different mindset. And the media in these two countries will be totally different because of their mindset. And they have no idea how the other media can believe what they believe and represent what they represent. And that's why this world is so messed up. It's because people don't even know that they're getting locked into ideologies and so forth, and they're not seeing the bigger world. They don't tend to get beyond their immediate area where they live and learn to understand that there are people with quite a different perspective in another part of the world, and then they have to figure out how do we mix these two together? How do we get the whole truth from the two sides of the issue? Because in one side or the other, it's not going to be where the truth lies. The truth is going to be where you put both sides together and you integrate it and you make it into a whole.
In spirituality, you got to understand that truths are everywhere. Truths are in everything. Truths are in everyone. It's the ones that balance the logic and reason, that balance into reality, that are going to be like those puzzle pieces that are going to fit into like-minded, independent people that get it. So that when it comes to loyalty versus truth and truth versus loyalty, really is the loyalty of your truth inside of you that's going to make you evolve to be a better person. And if that means beating to the beats of your own drum, then grab your sticks and your drum and start going your own direction.
Loyalty may allow you to have a certain peace within a tribe or within an an organization or a particular group. But what ends up happening, groups go up against groups, and tribes go up against tribes. So in the bigger picture, you're actually creating more violence. In the process of creating harmony in a smaller unit that's one-sided, you create disharmony in the bigger picture, which is a lot stronger. So you may think, I'm in this family and this family has its problem, but I'm creating harmony in this family. But the family is really twisted. What's going to happen is maybe you develop a certain peace within the family, but when you go outside the family where there are people that don't have loyalty to that family, then you'll all of a sudden probably find that what you're representing is totally it creates all kinds of discord and discomfort, chaos because people don't believe the same thing. In other words, when you get really locked in, maybe you can keep that locked in when you're in a limited unit, but you get outside of that unit, you can get into a lot of trouble really quickly. And so it's
balance, find balance.
So you pay a price for it, even though you may think, I'm doing this for harmony. Well, you have to look at the bigger picture. You can't just look at the harmony of a few people. Right. You have to look at the harmony of a lot big of more people from various different types of people, uniqueness of people, uniqueness of group. In other words, you got to get some variety. You can't be locked into just one isolated small group. Yes. And that's what cults are made of, and a lot of families are very similar to cults in the way they do things.
Well, anything that tries to hold you back on getting anything from anything positive or independent, it's a red flag. Watch out. Just understand that when it comes to loyalty, we all want reassurance. We want to hear from other people. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I can see where your point's coming from. So in that wanting of those feelings and those perceptions from others, we have to remember that we need to plug in those truths that will balance the loyalties in ourselves to do the right thing, the logic thing, the rational thing, the things that are going to evolve us, the things that make us feel good, the things that ring those passionate things inside of us that motivate us to continue in a positive direction. All those things you can look for and know that they will lead you to those successes inside of you, to balance truth and loyalty and what is positive and what is negative.
Well, so often you'll find in our society, people who have money and have power will get a whole bunch of people around them. They'll tell them exactly what they want to hear, and they tend to want that. They tend to desire that. You'll see that with a lot of the leaders in the world, where they'll expect everybody to play up to them. And you'll find that a lot of times with celebrities or whatever, they'll only have people around them that cater to them, and they get into a false bubble. Yeah. And they get isolated, and they really don't understand how the rest of the world lives, so they get pretty much disconnected from the truth. And that's one of the problems we have in our society, where we have such inequities of resources in which we put people on these
pedestals.
That was the word I'm talking about. Something really high. That's what I was having trouble figuring it out. I was doing a lot of astrology work the other day, so my mind's coming back.
Yes, gather, collect.
Because that's the way I am. I'm a truth seeker, and a lot of the times I will really tax my brain in order to find the truth. But my brain always recovers. Your brain will always recover.
Always. It's a muscle.
Provide you get your B vitamins and you take good care of yourself. I always say that because I'm very much into nutrition. But a person that's really looking for the truth is going to want to get into nutrition and a whole lot of other things in order to get help their brain to function better because they're going to do whatever it takes.
Right. I was just going to say one point before we get too far off with money, people with money. Spiritual values are forever and material things are fleeting. But in today's society of self-gratitude and quick, everybody is in illusion of what this money. Yeah, sure, we need money to survive, and yeah, sure, great, but spiritual values are what we're talking about here. Spiritual values, what me and Tom always say, integrity will come and shine inside of you when you get that spiritual values are forever and material things are fleeting. And that is wrong. One thing that society needs to look at and change is that the spiritual values in life need to be more important than the material things that are so right there, so flashy, so bling bling, so sparkly.
Well, there are important material things like our rivers, like our land, like our crops where we grow our food and stuff. There are basic stuff that's important. It's just that we get so far removed from the natural world and from the things that really count.
Yes. I'm so glad Tom corrected me. Yes, Mother Earth, environment, the way we can be together and live.
Because we live on a beautiful planet.
It could be so.
If we took care of it, we could make it a lot better, and that is what counts.
And there's the loyalties, right?
And that's why we have to develop so much more spiritually. We have our modern technology has sort of like got us confused as to what our real values should be.
Yeah.
And our modern technology actually could enhance our environment, provided we develop the spiritual maturity to handle it properly. And we can. We just have been in the dark ages spiritually for so long.
Yes.
We really do need to get more mature. We really, the technology, they always brought up, we got the technology, it's going to make the world so much more wonderful. And then when you go 10 years into the future and you look at it, you'll see 10 years in the future, it isn't exactly gotten wonderful. All these ideals haven't come through. And that's because it takes spiritual maturity to actually make it happen.
That's right.
If you're addicted to all this craziness and all these creature pleasures and all kinds of other stuff, and you're not willing to do the hard work to straighten things out, it just won't happen.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit, Tom, about harmony versus growth.
Well, you can go into your cave and get really comfortable, isolated from everything, and you can do your nice relaxing meditation, but what's that going to do to transform the world?
What about the ones that go on video games and play those all day?
Well, they can be very similar because
harmony, life is good.
Because you have it all under control. You don't have anything coming in that surprises you too much. Of course, the video games, they try to do that, but what your whole objective is to make it all under control.
Growth, however.
Growth, finding more of the truth, that's hard work. That there's a discomfort involved in it. In other words, there's a certain disharmony with it. You don't want to get so inharmonious that you lose complete control where you're at. But you have to find the balance between.
Their word again, balance.
Between when you push yourself really hard, and you're able to grow and make a difference, you do have to have your time maybe when you're in the cave, but you're only in the cave as a recovery thing. You're not in the cave as an escape. You go into the cave and then you conk out and you recharge, and then you go back out and you do your thing, then you go back into the cave. It's that's like what sleep is about. You go to your place, you find a place to sleep, and then you go out again and you take things on. And I mean, the people that have the most exciting lives and that achieve the most have a spirit of adventure. They don't want to just be in a harmonious environment where nothing upsets them or bothers them.
And
They don't mind being surprised or shocked or having
they
crazy
live
things
in the
happen.
spontaneous of the spiritual. And that's what it's all about. Every day is different. Every day is a new day to grab more concepts of how you can better yourself. How can you evolve more into your future? How can you get your successes? How can you make those dreams become realities? Every day. Don't put it down. Don't put it down to go be harmonious and think, oh, I don't have to think or do anything and just let life move me.
Well, it's a place for harmony at times, I'd say, but you don't want to get caught up
Not
in it.
every day, every minute, 24/7.
But the people that are into adventure and all, they develop the spiritual strength because they're always training themselves to be stronger, and they'll
feisty like you.
And they'll go out and they'll do things, and something will hit them out of left field. Something strange will happen, something they didn't expect, and they don't take the attitude, oh, I didn't expect that. Oh, what am I going to do? Their attitude is, I'm confident, I'm going to figure out, and I'm going to handle this. In other words, they're quick to react. They're quick to do something. They're quick to see what will work and what will not work.
Be open to those truths that are coming in.
Because when you're doing something different or something unique, a lot of times you don't know what you're going to run into.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to deal with the unknown and have the creativity to figure out the unknown.
Right on the quick.
Right on the quick.
Yep.
So that you'll be able to get through it. And that's what an explorer does.
That's right.
Because how often are you going to know exactly what the future is going to happen? You never know what the future is going to happen. What's going to happen in the future?
Okay, Sarah.
So you might as well accept that fact and become really good at dealing with multiple variables and figuring out how to make the most of it, because you're never going to get a complete handle on what's happening. But that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it interesting. And an explorer says, oh, this was quite an exciting day.
Yes.
And we got through all this. Isn't that wonderful? We got through all this, rather than saying, we got through all that, which is too much shocking to have to deal with that. I don't know how I made it through there. And woe is me.
Yeah, not
in other words, it gets so often it becomes a trauma rather than something that you say,
it's very entertaining to us explorers.
Yeah, so, I mean, for somebody it may be a trauma, but for an explorer, he's just saying, that's another challenge I overcame.
It's like, Tom, should we go mow that lawn? That lawn's pretty high up there with grass. We must plow through it, get through the truths and things that we need to look at to grow and evolve.
And then that's the thing with physical fitness. You get yourself in real good condition, you can handle an awful lot. And then with a person that's not in condition, they're going to be hurt or suffer injuries when they get pushing themselves to certain hardness because they're not trained to do it. In other words, don't do this if you haven't done enough training to handle it. And a lot of times people haven't done much training at all, so they can't handle a lot, so they're going to constantly be faced with trauma and problems.
So loyalty in yourself to build those truths, to evolve and to stretch yourself to higher.
And that's what it's all about. The truth will make you stronger. And as you get that connection with the truth or more of the truth, then you'll have that instinct which will help you to deal with what reality is going to toss you away. Because reality you never know. But the more you have a connection with the truth, the more you will figure it out.
And you'll surf the waves instead of drowning in the waters.
Okay, this is Positive Vibes Enterprise. The subject today has been truth versus loyalty. We went all over the place, but it was a really complicated subject.
Fun. It was fun. I had fun. I always have fun with you. Please subscribe more. Share. Yes. We need more people.
We need
and we need comments. Come on.
Yeah, we need connections with new people. Everybody needs connections with better people, and we need to get an organization together with quality people.
All like you. So
that we can make a difference.
Keep watching. Keep coming back.
And we'll be loyal to always improving, always searching for more of the truth. In other words, loyalty to the right, type of ideology is a good thing.
Integrity.
But the type of ideology I'm talking about is the non-stuck type one where you're always improving, you're always
Open-mindedness.
moving.
Oh my gosh, we know nothing. Just let you know.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We appreciate you watching us.